Now, to our next topic. Are the British police fundamentally racist? Well, we hear that all the time, don't we? And here we are again, because that's what the chair of the National Police Chiefs Council has said. Gavin Stevens has called for a redesign of national policies and practices within policing to help eliminate discrimination. He says too little progress had been made to reform policing amid a string of recent scandals. Well, it feels like Groundhog Day to me, but maybe I'm wrong, because joining me now in studio is the former Met detective Peter Bleksley, the legend and a friend of the channel. Peter, I've heard about as many reports like this as I've had hot dinners. It feels like the police are continually self-flagellating over the issue of institutional racism. My point to you is this helping things anymore, or is it making coppers feel afraid to actually be enforcing the job properly, and is it emboldening the bad guys?
I would suggest yes to both of those questions. And it will not help tonight the men and women on the front line who will be invariably on a Friday night rolling around on the pavements with people who are violent and probably drunk or on drugs. It won't help the police officers who will go home from their shift tonight blood-stained as they deal with stabbing victims and possibly deliver CPR to try and save somebody's life. And quite frankly, this is the perfect example of the absolute mess that British policing is in. We have Police Scotland, Avon and Somerset, South Wales and other police services saying, yes, we're institutionally racist, we have to confront it, we have to do something about it. We have Greater Manchester, West Midlands Police, and, of course, most notably, the Commissioner of the Met, Sir Mark Rowley, saying, we're not going to apply that term, we don't recognise it or agree with it. So where is policing? And how is there ever going to be the fundamental reform to policing that we, the public, deserve, and officers who are doing a good job, the good cops, also deserve? Where is this reform going to come from when it is such a mixed, confused and frankly unacceptable landscape?
It is fair to say, of course, there have been racist police officers. We've seen that. We've seen cases unearthed. We've seen those WhatsApp messages. That's hopefully been dealt with effectively. And my point is this. We hear about two-tier policing all the time. We hear about pro-Palestine, we hear about LGBTQ, you name it, about pronouns and also on and so forth. But if we've got a police chief saying that people of colour should not have to experience disproportionate use of force, how do you translate that in the heat of the moment? If you're making one of those arrests, like you say, on the cobbles, at closing time, what goes through your mind? And does that make you a less effective police officer?
I sincerely hope it doesn't, but it must do, quite frankly. Because, of course, running through senior policing these days is a kind of wokeness that infects so many of the senior ranks. And they had this sort of fluffy and liberal kind of attitude, whereas actually, if they want to tackle properly matters like institutional racism, then there needs to be a firm hand delivering the policies, the reform that people need. Because currently, with this crippling wokeness that runs through senior policing, like the word Brighton runs through a stick of rock, we are all being failed. The British policing model is failing. It is doomed if this malaise and this catastrophic state of policing continues, and it will simply be replaced. They are increasingly becoming irrelevant.
And what can be done about it as quickly if we could, Peter? Because we have this conversation all the time, but it still seems to be that the woke brigade are running the policing institution.
Courage, discipline, straight talking, all running parallel with doing the right thing and accepting that there are differences within people and within groups and ethnicities and the such like. The fact that they have regarded discipline, the D word, as a dirty word, that has been catastrophic for policing. And the fact that, quite frankly, they have tried to deal with policing as a popularity contest, when of course it is nothing of the sort, again, are having catastrophic consequences.